Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. It's great to see so many from the credit union community taking the time to be with us this morning. We will record this session and send it and the full deck out later today. Please pop any questions or comments you have in the chat and we'll do our very best to cover all of them at the end. Unfortunately, Martin Patterson is not available today, but I can assure you that you're in safe hands. I'm Lisa Hunt, the Microsoft Practice Director for Viatel, and today's session focuses on a topic that is front and centre for credit unions right now, DORA readiness and data security. As operational resilience requirements continue to evolve, we understand the credit unions are being asked to demonstrate not just strong technology controls, but clear ownership, visibility, and assurance around how your data is protected, how risks are managed, and how resilience is embedded across your organisation. At the same time, we know that digital transformation and the increased use of technology, especially around cloud services and AI, are accelerating. And this challenge is, I suppose, balancing innovation with the regulatory compliance that you need, resilience and trust. That's what we'll explore today. How credit unions can strengthen data security, simplify your compliance and move towards DORA readiness with confidence. To guide us through this, I'm delighted to hand over to Johnny Moore, who's head of our technical innovation here at Viatel. Johnny works closely with regulated organisations, including financial services and credit unions. He helps them design secure, resilient and compliant technology environments. So without further delay, Johnny, over to you.
Thanks, Lisa. Hello, everyone. As Lisa said, today we're going to be talking a little bit of about data security and DORA. These are two subjects that you might see in a separate way, but they're married together, and the risks and the data and the risk requirements on the DORA requirements are really marrying up each other. So we're going to be talking about this data security part, what kind of data there is and the challenges on the data security. And then we're going to be talking about how to mitigate and respond to those. And then I'll jump straight to the DORA requirements compliance and how you can address those and how we can help you to address those as well in general terms, all right? So we do have 30 minutes only for this webinar, so I don't intend to explain the full extent of Purview data security and DORA, but we can follow up afterwards anyway, right? All right, so in the very basics, let's start just talking about data. So what data is, and I want you guys to think, especially in the credit union space, that data can come in many forms, right? Being Word documents, PDFs, it could be pictures, it could be SQL tables in your database, email, chat, notes. So everything forms data, right? A part of data. And those data can live anywhere really, in your progress systems, being presented to you in the database, in the backend, in your computer, laptops, in the mobiles. So we do have a lot of forms of data and ways to communicate nowadays. And obviously, with the increase of productivity tools that companies like Microsoft make available to us, we are always looking to increase that productivity, but that comes with a lot of risks associated with that, right? So all companies and credit unions, they have a long history of IT and, upgrading on-premises servers, maybe migrating to the cloud. There's a lot of data there, and we call it unmanaged data, and it grows fast, right? Each one of us and on each credit union, you have a lot of files from 10, 15 years ago that might be there containing sensitive data. And the user behavior also changed using those files. So in the past, we'll be very straight using really Word files, printing a lot of documents. Nowadays, you have SharePoint, you have Teams, you have your core banking systems. So the way, and AI more recently, so the way we manage the data, the way we work with the data changed a lot in the past years. And now it will change more because we're just entering the AI era. So there's a lot of AI tools being released every day, and we don't really know what's going to AI inside the organization. right? Few companies might have some controls in place, but most of them don't have policies to control and to use AI. Who knows what our users are really typing into AI, or uploading there. So it is a challenge, and data is all around that, all around productivity, forms of documents, and usage of AI. So company nowadays are really facing dark data, a lot of dark data. So hidden data that you're not aware of. Old data, no laptops, they're sitting in the corner. Old servers that might be migrated to the cloud already, but you still have that physical server in the corner as well. And people that have copies and copies of documents over and over again. This poses a lot of threats, and especially if you're talking about regulations, and you are highly regulated by the CBI and the DPC. There's a lot of risks associated with that data that's left. It is impossible for any company to know or to manually review the stale data they have or the dark data, because it's just such a big job. Depending on the size of the credit union, even if you put a full-time person or two full-time person, they won't be able to scavenge the data. Oversharing is one other issue that almost every company is facing at the moment. And when I say facing at the moment, it's been always there, right? But with the recent attacks and breaches we've seen in the market, this has gained significance. Oversharing, from SharePoint perspective, you right click, you go and you share with external people, or you copy link, as you can see on the screen there. Sometimes you put permissions to anyone in the organization can access the site, and we didn't think about that few months or years ago, right? We just share, we create a copy from the desktop, we throw into the Teams on a SharePoint, and so people can access those files, but they're left there. No one goes back and change permissions back to the way it's supposed to be, or we go there and delete the duplicated files. I'm sure a lot of us would have on our downloads folder a lot of PII information, sensitive information that shouldn't be there. So that poses a threat. AI, and if you have Copilot, if you share any documents with anyone in the organization, Copilot is an entity in the organization. So even if you're in a private place in your computer, if you share it with anyone in the organization, AI can read that. Imagine that you have sensitive information on those places, and it's just kind of public to anyone that browses that. So oversharing is definitely one of the big risks that we see around data today. And then with that, you have the shadow AI. If you're not creating a policy and controlling how AI is used in the company, be sure that your users are defining that for you, because everyone is using AI, right? There are new tools every week, and you find new discoveries every week about AI and ways of use that. And as a credit union, there's a lot of sensitive information that can't go out, right? So the use of AI in the company poses a threat for any organization, any sensitive data. All right. So these data risks, they pose incidents, and incidents can happen anywhere, anytime, right? What you see on the screen there is a division between internal and external risks. External risks come from phishing attacks and outside firewall breaches. Internal risks, you have a lot of ground to cover there with, USBs that might have copies of your data, AI that's being used in a negligent way, or even if you really overshare information, with personal emails, or with another person outside the company with a public domain like Hotmail and Gmail, you lose control of the data once you do that. And if you don't have controls in place like labeling and encryption, that data is not under your control anymore. And as you'll see under the DORA section here, not know is not an excuse anymore. So you have to know the IT risks inside the credit union, inside the company. and you have to address those. Even at the board level, they need to know about those, right? So ignorance is not really an excuse anymore. I didn't know about that. It's not there anymore, right? Um, yes, I think yesterday on the Irish Times, you might find an article about cybersecurity in credit unions and banking, actually. So it's a pretty interesting one. I would encourage you to take a look there. And it's a research that ranked the financial systems of European countries. And you see Ireland, Italy, and Switzerland as what they classify as a G-rated. So they are more likely to receive a cyber attack and to be breached than all other countries in Europe. So that shows how important it is for us as a third parties, as partners, the credit unions and credit unions itself to address internal and external risks. And DORA is a framework that will just try to balance that out, right? So I want to put an exercise there, right? So a shadow AI breach scenario. You might or might not have an AI policy at the moment, but you don't really know what users are uploading to AI, if they're uploading documents with sensitive data or not, and which AI tools they're using, right? You might have specialized tools to do some AI discovery. You know, there are a few tools in the market, but they don't address the overall data risk. So imagine if someone uploads some sensitive data to AI. So do you know what files the user are uploading to AI at all? Do you really know what AI tools are being used? And what happens if an AI tool gets breached? It doesn't have to be the ChatGPT one. It could be just an AI that was released yesterday, right? And someone puts data there. So what is your responsibility if that happens? You know, you have to start thinking about that because, you know, we rely a lot on the big organizations and Microsoft and ChatGPT and Gemini. These are really likely not being breached, but there's a lot of AI tools being used in the market. So we have to be careful about that, right? And if that happens, right? If an AI gets breached and you have sensitive information being uploaded there for AI training that has your company logo, that has personal information, you'll be in a nightmare because you know the symbols that I present on the screen there. You have the CVI and have the DPC. So you have one incident that you didn't control. It's just an AI breach that happened elsewhere, and your company is there. And you have an incident. You have two regulators, and you have two reporting clocks to really address there because you have to report in a GDPR perspective to the Data Protection Commission, and you have probably some unavailability because you have probably sensitive information or not trusted data inside that incident, and they have to report to the CBI anyway, any significant cyber threat reporting. So, you know, this is the worst nightmare you can face, right? So I hope you never have to do this, but this will be the three reporting that you have to submit to the DPC and the CBI. So it's there's a lot of risks around the data. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, especially if you shadow AI and you are under the regulation of these two bodies. You have to be careful. You have to put controls in place and you have to address those risks. Not knowing what's happening inside your environment is not an excuse anymore. So what's the solution for that for most companies? You know, you have a lot of tools that would help you with bits and pieces, right? And this is just a Microsoft Data Security Index report from 2024, and the 2025 is due to come, and it will probably increase that number. 12 plus solutions to secure an average company nowadays is the number. So imagine having to really manage 12 or an average of 12 tools to control AI, to control permissions, data security, to control sharing. You know, instead of just fixing the problem or addressing those those issues, you're creating another problem because you have a lot of costs, you have a lot of alerts, a lot of management to do, and you have gaps. So you have to, the non-compliance of those tools as well. There's a lot of work involved if you do have, that amount of security tools. And most companies have a lot, right? And it is a challenge. You have your managed services, if your own partners, to deal with those tools as well. And it's time consuming. So that's why the Gartner, this is from the Gartner data security report for Gen AI. Gartner recommends for you to start building up your data security program. And the very first layer of that would be understanding the data, but consolidate the data technology. So stop having, this 12, the average of 12 security tools, and start migrating to less tools that could cover more areas. Now, I do understand that there's going to be always a tool of choice to do very specialized things. Maybe there is a tool that you like that covers the AI part, or another one that classifies the data for you, right? But in the overall recommendation for Gartner, and our recommendation as well, is bundle as much as you can, right? And use the consolidation as your first step to create a data security program. Before you're thinking about implementing AI in the company, before you think about, do a classification of data and being compliant with DORA as well, mitigating the risk, identifying the risks, you need to consolidate your security tools as well. All right. So how can Purview help you on that? So Purview is the Microsoft tool that would give you a lot of security capabilities in one place. So you would have about 23 modules inside Purview that can help you in a single place, integrated with everything you have. If you're using Microsoft, it's a no-brainer. That could help you deliver that security program. So from data security, governance, and compliance, Purview integrates with everything that's Microsoft and can deliver to you reports, classification, labeling, can give you risk management. Purview can analyze the user behavior as well. It can identify sensitive data anywhere. When I say anywhere, is you can have the laptops or the endpoints onboarded to Purview in a click of a button, and that identifies if users are copying sensitive data to the clipboard and trying to throw to AI. You can even control that. You can say, okay, I don't want any sensitive data going to any AI or any other app, because it will control the browsers and see what the browsers are doing as well. I don't want people to print sensitive data. So there's a lot of controls that Purview can do. But again, these are 33 modules that you can use the way you want. And I'll talk about the license in a second. It's very simplified, all right? So Purview gives that 360 of compliance, governance, security, and it will tick a lot of boxes for DORA as well in regards to the security and the risk ones, all right? As I said, DORA will talk a lot of identifying, responding, and learning with breaches and service unavailabilities, right? So what you see on the screen is a proactive and a reactive part of Purview, right? In a proactive way, I just, in the previous slides, showed a little bit of the data risks and dark data and a lot of issues that might happen because of that amount of data there. So Purview is the automated tool that can identify that for you. So you don't have to go to laptops. You don't have to scrutinize users. You don't have to sit down on their computers and take a look at the files. Purview can analyze everything that's in the cloud for you, that's on the laptops, everything that it's connected to, and give you reports and give you user score. Can say, okay, this laptop and this user, there's a lot of oversharing there on those files. And you can drill down to the files if you have the right permissions to do so. And you can identify those risks there, and you can put controls in place, right? And even if you put the controls in place, even if you're being proactive and understand the data risks via using Purview, right? the AI usage. If an incident occurs, you can get alerted on that. If you don't have any automated controls to prevent that to happen, at least you have the ability to quick respond to that incident, right? So Purview will give you that access that you can do either automated actions, or you can take a look later and receive an alert, receive a call from your partner, and you can act on that, right? So Purview will give you that single pane of glass. And that means you will, in your data security program, you will have one portal with the 22 modules, 23 modules there. You select the ones you like, you configure the ones you like with the policies you choose, what you consider sensitive data, what you consider highly sensitive, highly confidential data. You can build up your own structure there. And by using one place. So you don't have to manage many tools, and you don't have to give permission to many tools. You do have Purview integrated with everything that Microsoft has in place, and non-Microsoft as well. Simplified licensing, right? Microsoft, from last Ignite last year, Microsoft made Purview and a few other tools really available. They gave a 50%, a permanent 50% discount. So it's the new pricing, right? On Purview. Purview is right now, if I'm not mistaken, is about 12 euros if you have a business premium. So it basically gives you an E5 licensing, which is really expensive as an add-on for 12 euros. It doesn't give you the Windows license that comes with the E5, but the security, most of the security tools are there. So it is a really cheap license, and it's one licensing only, right? It's Microsoft. So you have business premium, you can put that add-on there for Purview, and you can use all those capabilities. There are very few capabilities that are Purview specific there, but pay as you go. But the rest is all within the license. So it's built in Microsoft, and it's unified investigation as well, all built in Purview. So conscious about the time, let me fly a little bit over. So let's jump to DORA, right? And DORA, again, there's no time to explain what it is in its totality, but DORA comes from the European Union, is an act that forces financial institutions to have control over the risks and the resilience of their systems. So basically, the DORA has 5 pillars and requirements on its chapters. And it forces companies like credit unions to really be aware of the risk management. So first of all, what are our systems and the critical systems, and what risks are associated with those? You know, do you have a risk matrix? Do you know the risks? What are the mitigations, and what are you doing to make sure those risks are mitigated? So it brings the board with that as well, because it forces the board to be aware of those risks. So you need to have a risk management framework. We need to present those risks, and everyone needs to be aware of that. So ICT incident management is how you respond. You detect, you classify with the likes of Purview or not. You have a 24/7 looking at your systems. How do you respond? Do you have an incident runbook for in case a system goes down or a breach happens? So you need to have those runbooks in place, and you need to test those. So on the resilience testing, you know, you can run automated vulnerability scanning and simulated attacks. But you need to know what to do once those breaches happen. DR tests, annual DR tests, that's all required by DORA. ICT third-party risk, it's a big thing in DORA, and there's a lot of third parties and breaches around third parties around Europe. That same Irish Times report says that only 7% of the breaches happen directly to financial institutions. All the rest, they happen through third parties. So that's why it's such a big deal to have your third parties registered, and send questionnaires and do a risk assessment on the third party as well. And lastly, information sharing. This is all about sharing some threat intelligence and in a controlled and defensible way. This is the famous DORA Article 45, and it's about sharing the relevant information so the community, the security community and credit union community can take advantage on those learnings from each other, right? So how's that mapped to the credit union's operational model? First of all, governance and board oversight is what I say. It's just the board needs to be participating. They need to be aware of the risks. So we outsource that, or we didn't know about it. It's not an excuse anymore. And the operational impact areas is just the whole credit union, the whole companies, right? It's not just an IT situation. IT manager can do in isolation, right? This is not that case anymore. So all the areas need to be involved and needs to be trained about situations and know about the risks, right? So the credit unions need to know the critical functions and the systems as well. They need to be able to report in the timelines associated with that. Once you know about the breach, you'll have certain hours for classification, 24. You have a lot of timelines, and you need to be trained on those timelines in case it happens, right? So be aware of the regulations and the times you need to report in case something happens. You need to do rehearsal on those. And the assurance gap is more about being assured that your controls they work. So you can design and operate tests and review the controls, but you need to register that rehearsal and make sure that the gaps are identified and trained. So Viatel can help you with that. So on the DORA journey, there's a lot of risks and data risks. So Purview can help you with that. And we can go through the foundation control, third-party testing, insurance, and board regulatory with you, helping you implementing that risk management framework with a risk matrix, with the impact and the likelihood to happen. We can help you with that. We can do a gap assessment. We can offer you services of 24/7 for incident response, classification of the incident, right? In the past, and if we under other regulatory authorities, you could take a while to classify a security incident, and that would buy you some time. With DORA, that's not a thing anymore. As soon as you know that something happens, you have to be reporting to the bodies within a very short time frame, right? We can do a vendor inventory for you and help you designing the contracts that are DORA aligned. Again, we are partners with a lot of credit unions, and we know the requirements of contractual requirements for your third parties. We can help you find out what are the gaps on your service in terms of resilience. We can help with the DR tests and annual test scenarios and tabletop simulations with the board, because the board needs to be on that as well. And we can deliver dashboards and DORA specific dashboards to you. So that's something we can help you with, right? So I believe with the help of Purview and finding out the hidden risks exactly tailored to your environment is key, and is the first step for everything, especially with DORA, because you have to have that ICT risk management, and you have to have that table to start addressing those risks. So Purview is the right tool to do that, right? So we do have a workshop that addresses that to find the security risks you have inside your organization, and it's valued at 10,000 euros. We're giving a promotion of 5,000 euros until the 17th of April. That's amazing, right? I believe it's the wrong wording there. But we will send you the deck with the correct ones. And this addresses finding your data risks and how DORA addresses those. So finding those, put in a matrix table, and start your journey with your data risks and your DORA compliance. All right. I think the time's up. I flew over a little bit at the end, but I will send the slides later. These are the tick boxes that Purview directly would tick. You have DORA and NIS2. For you guys, DORA specifically ISO 27001. There's a lot that Purview can deliver for you, right? So I will open now for any QAs you might have. You may maybe put in the chat there. Tara, you can call it out if there's any. And I'll leave some slideshows there showing a little bit of what Purview can do. Purview can actually show you the score under the DORA assessment, okay, as well. So here he goes to the slideshow while I receive if there's any questions.
Thanks, Johnny. Actually, there was only one question regarding slides, so I've answered that. So all of the slides and the updated date for the offer as well, that was actually as part of an event that we held with some of the credit unions, but we have actually agreed to extend that. So we will update that as the slides go out later in the afternoon, along with the recording.
Perfect. Okay. There are no more questions. I have a few slides that go automatically. Purview. Okay, if there's no more questions, I think we can finish here, right, Lisa?
Great. Look, thanks, Johnny. I really appreciate it. And thanks everyone for attending today. And look, if you do have any questions, reach out. We'll put an alias on the deck as well. We're always available, and obviously with your comms contact as well from Viatel, our colleagues in the business. We're here to support as best we can. Again, thanks for joining today.